Hi, this is Jill Riley, and I am the Communications Assistant for the PAC Northwest Conference. And today I am gathering a group of pastors from Portland, and I'm going to have them each introduce themselves and what their role is in the church, and then we'll talk about a project that they did this summer. So, Chad, go ahead.
My name's Chad Glazner. I'm the lead pastor at First Covenant here in Portland.
All right, and Katie?
My name's Katie Ann Levesque. I'm the family ministries pastor at First Covenant in Portland.
All right.
Yeah, my name's Stephen Bjorlin, and I'm the lead pastor at Portland Covenant Church.
And Joel.
And I'm Joel Summer, lead pastor at Access Covenant Church in Southeast Portland.
Great. So what is the distance in between the three churches?
Tell her, Chad.
We're probably equidistant, actually. I think probably about 10 minutes between Southeast, the dividing line between North and Southeast, and then Northeast Portland on the east side of the river.
Okay, great. So this summer, you all did a project together, your churches, called Better Together. And so, Stephen, will you tell me a little bit about what this was about and how it got started?
The starting place is not very romantic. Basically, our church, Portland Covenant, is the only church with air conditioning in the sanctuary. And so Access Covenant and First Covenant were kind of complaining about that last year, about how hot it's getting in the summer. And so I said, well, why don't you all just come over for a little bit, and then we can all be in the air conditioning during July. So that's where it started. And then it kind of grew from there as we were planning, what could this look like, three churches together in July, when usually not a lot of people are at church in general, which spun into this idea of theming Better Together. And what does it mean to be a church that wants to be with one another, not just our own church, but the church at large. And that off of that, we decided to invite some speakers from the seminary, from our denomination, both in Chicago and in our conference. And it turned out into this really great summer. It was just July, just the whole month of July, which was enough.
But it's great because you guys had like a record-breaking summer in temperatures.
Yeah, no, it was very needed. For sure.
That's great. So Chad, tell me about your involvement in the project and how you guys all decided who would go where.
Well, it helps because Katie, Steve, Joel, and I are already friends. And so we hang out and chat all the time. And from that friendship, when we started to think about this, we just decided to go big. We decided to make big asks to ask them, the leaders of the denomination, and to our total surprise, they all said yes. So we were able to have some Serve Globally personnel come, Reverend Grace Shim come from Serve Globally, Dr. Elizabeth Pierre from North Park Seminary, and then President Tammy came the last week. And each time it was we just had all these beautiful reflections of people saying how meaningful it was for them to kind of see more of what happens in the denomination.
Yeah, it was fun. It worked out well.
That's great. And Joel, as a church plant, what does that mean to kind of meld together with more established churches?
In any church that's part of a denomination, it's difficult to maintain that connection and nurture that connection. So for us as a newer covenant church in the Portland area, it gave our folks an idea of who's out there, and also reminded us that we're connected to something bigger than just what's happening in our neighborhood. We're a hyper local ministry. We all live within about 2 miles of where we gather. And so just this awareness that, yes, we have other mission friends within if you go outside that 2-mile bubble, there's a bunch of us. So I think, for us, it just gave us a bigger picture.
So how did you arrange worship ministries? Go ahead, Chad.
That was Steve. I mean, he really led the way. If you haven't heard Steve sing, next time you see him, ask him to sing you a song, and he will.
Can you do one right now? Just right now.
You'll sing a song on command?
I cannot. No. It's a great idea. It is a good idea.
But kind of as the host church, Steve actually did a lot of the organizing of the worship worship ministries for those Sundays.
So Joel kind of already answered this question for Access, but kind of what it gave them as a picture of ministry in a community. Chad, what do you think for First Cov? What do you think that impact is on your ongoing ministry, having worshiped with the other churches during the month of July?
Yeah, actually very similar to Joel's answer. So even though we're an older established church, it's as easy for older established churches to kind of lose sight of what's going on in the here and now in our denomination, of the story of what God's doing in our whole denomination.
Yeah. Yeah. And Stephen, what did it mean to have for your church to have denominational people come in and kind of share the overarching vision of what's going on?
It gave us a chance to get a sense of the bigger church, right? And for us, practically, one of our speakers was a global partner named Pastor Evans Paul, who does work in Haiti. And my church, we've known about him. I personally know him, but they never got to hear from him in person. So it just worked out that he got to be one of our guest speakers, and he did an amazing job. But for us as a church, that was a huge moment to, oh, this is the person we've been praying for and sending funds to, and all that kind of stuff. And so I think especially as well, having the first female president of our entire denomination, that's an honor to have them guest speak, and for all the women in our churches, the pastors, to see, oh, this is who's leading all of our denomination right now. It's just healthy. It's healthy.
That's powerful. Yeah. Yeah. So Joel, anything that you would do differently, or do you plan on doing this again next year, or are we not talking about that yet?
Access definitely in. We meet in a 100-year-old building, and there's no air in here. But also, everything that we said about giving our teams a rest. So stuff that we would do differently. Oh man, I'm not done rejoicing on the stuff that went well. I mean, we with the liturgy each week, even though our music teams weren't blended, we just had different voices for every aspect of the liturgy. So it always felt the presence of each church really strongly. I mean, something we might do more of, although maybe we just about tapped this out. We often had follow-up, since our guests were so special, we would tend to do something with them after worship. Dr. Pierre gave us a full-on leadership training for our leaders on self-care and some of those practices. President Tammy came to lunch with the Portland area pastors and church chairs. First Cov took advantage of Reverend Grace being out and went to lunch with her to talk about global mission. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like we really kind of squeezed the juice out of this, and I'm not sure what more we could do.
That's great.
No,
Katie, Katie, any thoughts on a follow-up project?
Oh, I don't know, but I think probably one of the best parts of it for me was us all worshiping together. And our three churches, even though we're technically in the same city, each church has its own different culture.
And Chad, I'll give you the last word. Anything that you would say to another community that was considering combining or doing a collective project like this, what words would you give to them?
Go for it, and know that the leaders of your conference and your denomination are really great allies and resources. So even though it sounds like it was a lot of work, we had so much support from the conference and denominational leaders that it actually was a kind of like a rest for us as pastors too. We were able to take advantage of some of that rest while celebrating together. So do it. Just ask for what you want.
That's great. Well, thank you all for joining me, and I appreciate your time, and I'm just grateful for your ministry in Portland.
Thank you, Jill.
Thanks.
Jill.